Welcome back to the Nerdrotic Podcast. My name is Gary Buechler. I come to you from nerdrotic.com, and I am live in San Francisco and down in LA. I've got my co-host for this evening, Jon Reed.
Dr.
What
Doom.
is up? Yes, Dr. Doom. Oh my God, I'm getting such feedback from you right now.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, why am I getting feedback? Hang on. I hate starting this out with feedback.
Oh, do you have the YouTube chat playing in the background?
Sorry, that was a great way to freaking start out. Major feedback in my ear, but it's gone now. Hello,
Speaking of feedback, thank you for all yours in the comments on all of these videos. And Gary, we'll get to Runaways in 1 second, but Gary has been working hard today setting up our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/nerdrotic, right?
Yes, that's it.
And you'll see we have our tiers finally set up. So if you guys want to pledge, there's a $10, $15, $20. So take a look at those.
It's a $1, a $10, and a $15. And at the end of the podcast, I'll do a little share screen and I'll show you guys what the tiers are and I'll explain it to you. But the Patreon is up and running. I've been promising it for weeks. It's finally going. Apologies for that rough beginning, but this is live podcasting and we are not professionals. Okay.
We're getting there. We're getting there. With your help, we will become professionals. Yes. Go ahead and take a look at the tiers. There's the What's in the box, which I really love. It's kind of like a loot crate type thing from Gary's days of running the Comic Outpost. He's accumulated tons of stuff that you can get if you pledge us $15 a month. So check that out. And we're starting our initial goal of $200. Once we hit $200 of monthly pledges, we will do a bi-monthly Patreon only hangout for the patrons. It's a patron only podcast essentially. So please donate. We've got a lot of really cool stuff for you guys.
Yeah, please check it out. You will be getting something for every dollar you put in. You will get something back, and it will be wonderful. Yes.
But let's do this, man. Runaways tonight, episode 5, right? Was this Kingdom?
I thought it was a pretty good episode, actually. I think this show is starting to find its legs a little bit. For a first season, it's pretty amazing. What the biggest change from the books, we kind of go over that, is the parents, the depth of the parents and where they're going, and Alex's dad. They do a little flashback with him and his homie in prison, and we get a little backstory on just how he got out. And he got out early by he did a prison deal, and he had his buddy, was it I forgot the guy's name. His homie took the rap for him. And I think that's one of those life lessons that we, whether you've been to prison or not, if you ever do go to prison, which we hope you don't ever do a prison deal. They just never get honored. It's like when you go out, traveling with somebody who you just met, and you say you're going to ride again, and then you never do. When it's just something like that.
It's like the senior year yearbook like promises.
It's exactly like that. Yeah.
So I thought that was a really interesting aspect, and he and Alex's dad, Mr. Wilder, really just doesn't do any of the things he says he's going to do, right? Like he says he's going to take care of him and his aunt or grandma forever. And we see halfway through this episode that has not happened. She's still in the same situation she was in before. And now this guy's 10 years, his friend took 10 years of prison time for him. You're right. I think it's interesting to see here's what I was going to say about tonight, really generally. This is the first episode where it completely gives us new material from the books. Like the coolest part of this episode is probably seeing all the kids use their powers together for the first time, right? Like you get that scene where Chase shows up with his gauntlets, and you've got the staff of the staff of one working really strong. Everything except for the Velociraptor comes out in this episode. We got Molly with her strength again, and then falling asleep on the car. So it was really cool to see the kids use their powers. But all of the content from this episode, minus a couple little moments, was all new, right? Like none of this is story that was told in the comic books. And I'm trying, this is live right after watching the episode, and I'm trying to figure out how I feel about that, right? Like, I loved that they were sticking closely, but like expanding on stuff for the first 4 episodes. Like, it really felt like they were drawing out more attention and more dynamics, and they were introducing us to a lot of cool stuff. And where it was the story, but moments were changed, this episode was like a completely new story with some similar moments from the comics, like the first kiss between Alex and Nico, right? Like, that's something that happens in the comics in a very different way. So that's a moment from the comics that does happen, but and Carolina walking in on them, like that moment happens in the comics, but in a very, very different way. So I thought that this is kind of the reverse of what they've been giving us in a way. And I'm trying to like process it, right? Like, how do you feel about that, Gary? I don't know, like, I trust them, but it still feels a little jarring to have it be so close to the source material and then all of a sudden on episode 5 like go in a completely different direction.
I don't really have a problem with it because the source material, for one, we just went back and read the comics for this. It's not really, although we were always a proponent for this being a television show, the source material is not, there's not enough there. It just focuses on the kids, and these are hour-long episodes, and you can't follow it comic to comic, and you had to bring the parents up in this. And I think that was a real wise decision, especially with what down with Alex's dad. I thought that was one of the best parts of the story tonight. I think it's where it's most clumsy. No, they haven't. I think where it was clumsiest, and this is just a little nitpick, was with the superpowers, was with the getting together with the superpowers. It felt a little rushed. And yeah, all of a sudden, we've had this slow burn, and then they're in the street, and I took off my bracelet, and here's my light beams, and here's Molly picking up the car, and Chase flies up, and his gloves, which he's been barely working on, are fully functional
overnight. It's literally like 12 hours later.
Yeah, and then we go to a very chic coffee shop to discuss our our terror. It's like that was so LA. It's like the Silver Lake Avengers.
Yeah,
that's what we're dealing with there.
It is very West Coast Avengers.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, man. I think I'm okay with it, right? But some of the like stuff that I'm waiting for, that they could still slow roll, it almost feels like they may not ever, like, do you think they're ever going to be in like underneath the tar pits in like a like underground fort layer, there's things about the comics, and I don't want to spoil too much. So we'll have a spoiler section later. I probably shouldn't have brought that up now.
Well, I'm going to say this right now, and I don't mean to sound like a complete a-hole, but the comics have been out since 2003. So
sure, but there are a lot of people, I think,
14 years
watching the show, and they're going to get into the comics.
Yeah.
But that said, there are things in the comics that it feels like it's time for in the show that they're either not going to do, it seems, or like going a completely different direction. Like the most we got of the backstory of Alex's dad was him in like a shootout in a car when he gets approached to start the Pride or to become part of the Pride, right? And same with all the other parents. And so it was weird in this to like have a whole episode with like characters that weren't in the comics and stuff when we haven't even gotten to like the beginning of the story of the comics, really, right? Like we're not even at the point where they run away in issue 3, right? But we've had stuff from after issue 3 happen now. So I'm worried that I'm worried that it's going to get further and further away, and we're going to get into a Walking Dead type situation, quite honestly. I don't know. You don't seem to have that fear that I have.
No, I think it's called Runaway. That would be really silly if they didn't run away till the end of the year. For one, that'd be very confident that they're getting a second season. And if they didn't, but it does look that way. I don't know if I'm worried yet, but yeah, we are pretty deep into the season and they have not run away yet. And well, some of the team members are still, Chase is getting together with his dad. I mean, they're actually bonding, and Chase's dad, Spike.
Yes, Spike. I was gonna call him Spike too.
Yeah, is gonna. He's got brain cancer, so
Yeah,
they're
that's
having
new.
bonding moments, so we're about to get the rug pulled out from under us.
Yes.
This is
Well, and Nico has that
Josh
moment where
Schwartz stuff.
she steals the staff. Sorry, you're going to hear me adjust my microphone for a second. I just got a
It's
new
okay,
computer and
but
I'm
yeah,
barely hearing you, so I want to turn it up.
Victor Stein is Chase's dad, by the way.
So
I'm sorry. I was looking for that other guy's name on IMDb. Is sucking tonight. Like it's like for this episode, there's like 4 actors up there right now. So I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names. I should have wrote it down, but
so no worries.
I just put Dad's homie
That's
is my
funny,
name.
yeah. So the other thing that happened was Nico steals the staff and she comes home and her mom sees her trying to put it away. And Nico's mom is like, well, it's cool. You were bound to find it eventually. Every parent, it seemed in this episode, except for the Yorks, which seemed to have already had that conversation, have kind of affirmed to their kid, like, you can trust me. And even though the kid has kind of shown something like some deception, right? Stealing the staff with Chase. He's broke into his dad's lab and was making this gauntlet. Like all this stuff has happened, and the parents are like reaffirming, like, you can trust me. And this is not something that happened, right? Like,
No.
It seems like they're doing this instead of the parent on kid fights that are supposed to be happening right now. So
which they're not going to do. I mean, that was my concern when this whole show started. Is there's some pretty heavy stuff that which they can't. I would not have a problem with them doing that stuff with the parent on kids fight.
No, I think they should. These parents are super villains. Like, as long as, like, in the comics, just like in the comics, they mainly fought other people's kids. There were not many where they like tried to brutally take down their own child. And I think that that's how this should go, right? Like Alex's dad, if he caught like Gert breaking into his house for some reason, would not be favorable about that, right? Like he wouldn't pull punches necessarily, like the character from the comic, if that happened. Now, if Alex were breaking in, he would try to figure out a way to work on the situation. And I think that that's how the show should have dealt with this. Is like if like Gert and Carolina are showing up at Nico's place for some reason, doing some sketchy stuff, I could see Nico's mom pulling out the staff of one and like tearing into them. So I wish we were getting more of those types of like fight scenes instead of introducing this other character. What was his name?
The kid, the kid who
got
shot?
No. Well, there's that kid too, but yeah, the whole Alex's dad, Mr. Wilder's old friend from the gang. Like they introduced this whole character and this whole story to almost go out of their way to not have one of those parent on kid fights. Like the fight with him should have been a parent.
Yeah, it was he was just exposition fodder for the kids. And I still think they're going to fight the parents. I still think that's a possibility. It'll probably be like superhero-y fight, but the fight with the parents, like it gets pretty gnarly. And I'll just leave it at that. But leading up to the weird exposition with Mr. Wilder's friend, we don't know.
We need to get his name.
Yeah, we got to get his name.
I'll look at it while you
I liked everything about that story. I liked about him like leaving him hanging. I mean, we still don't know. We're just getting that guy's perspective. And then Alex, it's Alex hating his dad even more. And Alex loved his dad. Alex, like he said, it was his best friend. It was his hero. And I think what they decided to do is instead of painting the parents as these just blanket villains, we wanted to give them the shades of gray. We wanted to give them, layers and stuff, which is,
you're right, is smart. It's real smart.
It is smart for the TV, but it does kind of take away from what the impact was in the comic. Was we aren't going to spend too much time on the parents. They're just bad guys. Okay. And we are trying to make the super team. And if you think about it, it's still really well developed. If you go back and read comics from the 60s, the super team was put together in 3 pages and here we go. We're going to fight for justice. Woo.
Right.
This is deeper. It's also drama. I'm way more concerned with how Josh Schwartz is going to handle the superhero stuff, because I was a little disappointed in some of that. It was just a little cheesy. You know, that was the only parts over a pretty good
Interesting.
episode. I thought some of the fighting leading up to it was a bit cheesy. Now,
So
that's
first of
kind of
all, I
his
think his
style.
name is Darius or Andre. I can't get
Darius.
the yeah.
Yeah,
Andre's the kid that got shot.
got shot.
So Darius is the guy.
Whew.
For some reason, is only
Sorry,
credited in
folks.
one episode, even though he's already in 2 episodes. So that's really weird. But yeah. So Darius. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you. I got the name.
No, that's and it's really it's a good characterization of Alex too. It's, you see where Alex is going, because the kid playing Alex, because Alex is so dry and emo anyway. We're actually having to get emotion out of him from other characters. I'm curious to see how he develops as the season goes on. He's not doing a bad job or anything. I just think he's not the best out of the kids. You know, I actually, you know, like we said last week, it's what, Carolina, that
Yeah,
she's the
Carolina.
one who's like the best. I'm liking her, and I liked
Morgan.
Molly a lot more this episode too. I thought she was better, even though, you know, now that I've gotten over the fact that she's not this little girl, I thought she did a pretty good job too tonight.
I agree. I was much more okay with the way. For some reason, I feel like they something has changed in the field. Like, I don't think it's us. I don't think it's our evolution. I think that there's something different about how that girl is playing the character that feels more Molly-esque this episode. So I liked that. I think that I had to turn around there too. And I'm going further down the route though, that like I do not like the girl playing Nico. Like
Really?
I might get a lot of heat for this, but like she is not the Nico. Like they've done such a good job of portraying these characters, and like I think the changes have mostly been really good. The girl playing Molly, I think, is playing the character of Molly that they're giving her really well. So like I don't have a huge problem with that actor. The girl playing Nico, I grew up like I know personally more girls who embody the character of Nico better than the actress they cast. Like I would like to see like Jamie Chung from The Gifted, I think would be a really good Nico. Like I feel like there are more vibrant, interesting characteristics to Nico's personality that aren't coming out in this like just personal.
I felt like she had a little more. I mean, she is darker than she is in the books. And I know how you felt about this story. I mean, I like this story. I thought it was a really good story. You love this story. So
Yeah.
I get you on that one. But I thought she was fine this episode. I thought she was actually
Okay.
kind of coming out of her shell a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see. But there a lot happened this episode. We got I can't pronounce his last name, but Julian, Dr. Doom. They're running out of actors to recycle for these superhero movies. They're starting to repeat now. And you pointed out that that's a really interesting choice, considering a character we may or may not be getting. I don't know for sure. You might know more than me, but
I don't. But yes, there's Dr. Doom is in the Marvel universe, and this actor who showed up at the end of this episode, actually he showed up at the beginning, but then the big reveal on who he is anyway, the big reveal happened at the end with this character. We still don't know who the character is, but the actor playing the character, Jim McMahon, played Dr. Doom in the Fantastic Four movie. And and Dr. Doom is related to a future character from the Runaways. So that's a little tease, but I think it's really funny to get those kind of parallels.
Then they don't have the rights to that yet. So, well,
They're
we say that could actually go down while we're talking the whole Fox.
Well, no, because they remember in the comics that was a fake out. The kid wasn't actually related to Dr. Doom. He was related to somebody else.
Well, they still can't even mention Dr. Doom, not until they get the rights back. So,
which is
a bummer, because as this series goes on, there's Cloak and Dagger show up, and a lot of stuff happens. Civil War.
So what's his name? Julian McMahon.
It's McMahon, but it's spelled weird, so I could be pronouncing it wrong. But
that's interesting. I'm not seeing him on the IMDb.
No, he's not on the IMDb. That's why.
Because they can't give away what character he is yet.
Yeah,
that's why. So,
although he was announced being cast. So,
what did you think of that reveal at the end? That Carolina's mom is basically cheating on her husband, who she's kind of relegating to the sideline with whoever the creepy character is that they resurrected with or kind of not resurrected, but reinvigorated with their seance.
Yeah, is he like a superpower realtor? That would be a really LA superhero, by the way.
$1 million
Or
listing
just an
runaway with
alien
Marvel.
superpowered realtor. Does he have a license? That's all I want to know. Oh my God. Um, I thought it was a little different. I'll just say it was. I was expecting something a little more menacing than this really handsome guy getting up and just going, "Let's dance," you know.
Yeah, I mean, he was really creepy about it. Like, I thought he came off kind of forceful and creepy.
Oh yeah, he's definitely there's something to that. So I think they might go alien with those two. I'm not sure,
Well,
but
we know that the mom is alien, right? Like Carolina, we know is alien. That's her.
we
Their
know from the comic
abilities.
book. I mean, I don't know if have they said it in the show. I still don't know. I mean,
No,
they can,
but let's
Molly's a
say
mutant
okay.
in the comic, so
Yeah, so let's just pretend they go with what they do in the comic book
yep,
here, and that Carolina and her parents, supposedly her dad, and the person we thought was her dad and her mom are all aliens, right? They wear
yep.
the bracelet, they have the powers. Now it seems like maybe her mom is an alien, her dad isn't. He's clueless, and he's had a mind wipe of some sort because we know he used to be involved but isn't anymore. So he could be an alien or not. He could have powers or not. And then we know that all three of them seem to be the same thing. This other guy, though, that is her real dad, as they reveal at the end of the episode, which was kind of the big reveal this episode, Dr. Doom, we don't know what he is. So Carolina is a whole new thing now. If he is her father, he might be an alien, but he also might be something bigger and different, something more powerful. And that changes Carolina to me immensely. Like now she could be half alien, half, let's just throw out celestial or God or whatever the hell this guy is that uses sacrifices to get his power. So, what do you think about that, man? Like, what do you think about Carolina not just being the daughter of two typical aliens and there's something else going on here?
Yeah, I think it's kind of rad, and I think that ending. We're gonna jump right to the ending now, where he's dancing around. What's Carolina's mom's name again? God, dang it! I'm sorry. It's late, people. I'm sorry.
Dean, Mrs. Dean, Leslie Dean.
Leslie. Yeah, he's dancing around with Leslie, and he's like, I want to look at, I haven't looked into her eyes. I want to meet her. And that was right before her, I guess, her other husband. Well, I mean, polygamy could be cool on the female side. Did I say polygamy? Yeah, yeah,
Polygamy.
polygamy. Like I said, I'm tired. Yeah, it could be cool in this religion. So he just didn't make ultra, whatever ultra is,
The highest level at the church.
yeah, and he was doing a sweat lodge thing. So yeah, I don't know. I think it could be cool. I'm not sure yet though. I'm not sure. I like how she's turning out. The whole, like we talked about last week, the effects and everything, it looked really cool. So
Yeah, I like how it's turning out too, and I think that it's really interesting that the changes they make are for specific purposes and not just to um, be shock value, or you know what I mean. Like they're doing it specifically for a reason instead of for a marketing reason. It's for like a story reason, and I like that. I'm also very curious to see where her dad fits in because you have a bunch of pairs, right? You've got the Martinez's who are dead, right? Molly's parents who used to be Pride and now they're gone. And you've got Carolina's dad who is now not part of Pride. And so you've got like a weird number of Pride members, not an even number, it's an odd number. And you have this like wild card outside of the Pride who used to be Pride, who should be part of the Pride, who's now being cheated on and lied to consistently, right? Like he's become a huge wild card in all of this.
yeah, the Pride. It's not like they were this cohesive unit in the comics,
Oh,
but they were pretty together. They're falling apart. I mean, they're falling apart. They even after so Darius, has that little gunfight when Alex's dad shows up, and then Alex ends up shooting Andre, this kid who hacked his dad's phone, who was just there working, and and they ended up sacrificing him last minute, and that's what led up to this, to this guy showing up.
Reinvigoration of
this reinvigoration. And I just lost my damn point. I didn't even know where I was going with that now. God damn it.
It's late, guys. It's late.
Jesus Christ.
Be gentle on us in the comments. We just watched the episode, and we're on the West Coast. It's 11 o'clock on the West Coast. So, and we still have The Gifted to do after this. So bear with us. But yeah, what did you think of Andre? Like, I thought he was going to be maybe a character.
That's what that. So after my thought came back to me now. So after Andre was sacrificed, Leslie just like told everybody to leave the room, just get out of the room, and you could see Victor Stein kind of cock his head like, what the fuck? We just did this for you. And like, you can already see, like, I don't know how they don't see that they're being completely used. And Victor Stein is dying, and like you said, and the Yorks want to bail, and the only ones who are completely in on this are Nico's parents, who seem to be, well, at least one of Nico's parents. Robert doesn't seem to be very down with the whole cause right now. Yeah, it's a fractured group.
Yeah, much more fractured than in the comic books.
Yeah, so that's going to really change things towards the end. So, and it could be for the better. It could be for the better. I don't know.
Do you think maybe the show is planning to say, okay, the material we're going to draw from forever is just the first arc, and we're going to keep at least some of the parents in the picture for a very, very long time, right? Like, do you think that they're changing this to a point where it's always going to have, the parents are always going to be a threat or a non-threat over these kids for the whole entire series?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. I think that's very interesting. It's going to be an interesting.
Parents might die, but I think with the cast they have lined up, for one, they're it's not like they're superstars, so they all could stick around for a while. They're all really interesting characters, and I think that would be okay.
Yeah, I agree.
And
they'd have to do it right.
Sides, they'd have to right, because there's basically 2 comic book arcs written by 2 volumes written by Brian K. Vaughan. I know there's multiple volumes after that. I just don't count them.
Yeah, let's do this right now. I know we've already spoiled stuff, but it's really hard to have this discussion without this. So, guys, we're just going to have spoilers in the rest of this discussion. Come back next week. We'll try to be spoiler free, more spoiler free. But let's talk about this, because this is, I think this episode particular set us on a different path from the first 4. And so I really want to get into this. I think this is the meat of the discussion about this episode. So if you're really, really don't want to get spoilers, and like, this stuff doesn't ruin.
And again, this is comic spoilers from a comic that was written 14 years ago.
Exactly. So anyway, let's talk about that. So there 2 arcs were written. At the end of the first arc, the parents are dead. They all die, every single one of them. And then the second arc is about like a superhero support group turned, hunting down the Runaways, right? Like ex-teenage superheroes. So those are the 2 basic arcs, the parents and this like support group. So I think that this is really interesting, that it seems as if they're setting this up to have the big finale moment not happen anytime soon. I thought it was going to be maybe 2 seasons, 2-3 seasons until we saw that big thing. But now I'm starting to think they're going to break down the parents like kind of one by one, and kind of keep them as like some of them as a looming thread, and some of them as maybe more of allies to the Runaways. Like, I feel like they're going to like break apart and be individual characters and their connection to the group of Runaways going forward. Yeah,
I would say that they're going to go to a big bad. It's very much following the Buffy template.
Yes.
Of the both shows we're going to cover tonight, or they're trying to cover. Well, one's more Angel than Buffy.
Yeah,
but
Buffy and Angel.
They're following the Whedon template. Quirky dialogue, stylish places,
Scooby Gang,
dangerous but fun, Scooby Gang. Exactly. That's a really hard template to follow, though. And And Josh Schwartz is good enough to where I think he can branch out on his own and do this. I don't have a problem with that. All the parents could die. I don't know if we had to go
Well, because
back.
that's why I was posing this. This doesn't remind me so much as Buffy as it does as of Gossip Girl. Like this reminds me of like there's a group of kids who are dysfunctional and a group of parents who are dysfunctional, and at any time you'll have alliances of different groups that are kind of playing off of one another. And so you'll have like maybe a parent and two kids working against like a kid and three parents or whatever, right? So I almost feel like he's following his own model, and instead of having it be like elitist dysfunction, like New York elites being dysfunctional families, like this is like superheroes in the Marvel universe being dysfunctional families, right?
With more stakes. Although I mean, people
with more
did
stakes.
die in Gossip Girl, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just don't have Chuck Bass.
Right. That's what they need.
No, I think, yeah, who would be Chuck Bass? Oh, never mind. Yeah, I think that
Chase
is actually
definitely
that's a really
Nate,
good. That's
right?
a really good point. I didn't watch like Gossip Girl all the way through, but I watched. Okay, I've watched more than my share of Gossip Girl with my wife, and yeah, it's definitely following that template a lot more, but not as cheesy.
It's not cheesy. No. It's definitely not in tone, right? In tone, it's probably more like Buffy or whatever. But as far as like the character dynamics and the way that he's moving the story forward, it seems to be more that. And there's never like a big showdown in Gossip Girl the OC, right? It's always like one character breaking down while another character is rising up, and they kind of keep that. They've got this ensemble, and they kind of keep that balancing act going all the way along. And right now you can definitely feel like certain characters are on the upswing, right? Like Chase and his dad are reforming a bond, and like Chase and Carolina are learning about themselves in interesting ways. They're becoming more positive from this situation. Whereas Alex and Nico are kind of coming down, right? Like they're getting kind of crushed in the weight of what their families have done to them, and their relationship with each other is forming because of feeling the weight of everything in a very negative way. And so like, you're going to see the balance shift with all these characters throughout, but I'm starting to think like there's never going to be like a big epic showdown.
Yeah, they're not going to run away, and it won't be all the kids versus all the parents.
Yes, I don't think
so. I don't think that's going to happen, but that could be okay. I mean, again, we don't know if we're getting a second season. There's so much crazy stuff going on right now. I don't know how well this show is getting promoted. Even when I was on Hulu, I had to dig to find this thing tonight. I'm like, you kidding me? So and it's a good show. It's a really good show. They're not doing it, but sometimes things are as they seem. So you think, well, they produced this good show and they put it out, but it just seems like the studio's not backing it. Well, that means because the studio's not backing it.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're, for whatever reason, like they're like, this thing's too expensive or whatever. But
which is so crazy
because I've worked there briefly. You've worked there a lot. Things are what they seem.
Yes. Yeah. If you get a feeling from something, follow those instincts, because it usually leads down into
if an actor looks like he phoned it in, he phoned it in. Yeah, that's
was dealing
exactly
with some sort of like life problem. Yeah. It's interesting, man. I agree. They're not promoting this thing. It could go away. This could be a Firefly situation where you get like a really high quality product that is just misunderstood. Because if you really think about this isn't as high energy fun as like a Gossip Girl or a OC. And if they're getting Josh Schwartz, maybe they're expecting that. This is like, there's Trent Reznor music going on in the background. Like when he scores something, like that's how the ambiance feels to me, like a Gone Girl kind of like mood that they're setting with a little bit of quippy dialogue. And I think maybe they don't get it. Right? Like I could see Josh Schwartz being like, hey, I love Runaways, and really understanding what the book is and why people like it, and making a show that's exactly that mood and level of fun, yet like creepy and cool. Like he's blended the same, like he's somehow recreated the recipe of the comic on Hulu. I just don't know if like anyone gets it, that's what he's done and how well he's done it. So like as an audience, whether or not I think you read, like my wife loves this show. Like she like told, like I was going to watch it alone to prep for this, like on my computer. And she's like, no, come watch it with me. And I was like, okay. So like, I feel like they have a show that everybody can be down with, or at least like
Yeah,
a lot of people
Melissa
can be
likes
down
it too. My
with.
wife
Yeah,
likes it too. So,
but they're not like nobody knows about it. Nobody knows
no,
when to watch it, how many episodes they're going to be, where, like, I just feel like they've dropped the ball.
I was in a group last night and I brought it up, and everybody's all nope, 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 nope. Like no elaboration, just no, we're not watching it. I'm like, okay.
It's so crazy.
I don't know.
It bums me out, man.
Maybe it's how it's marketed. Maybe maybe they're thinking it's going to be like a super OC, soapy show, and that's going to keep a lot of superhero fans away. It is.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
As if they don't understand that what they
aside from that that coffee shop scene was an OC moment. It's like, oh my god, I've got a dinosaur. It's like, okay, and then that's how it goes in the comics. That's how it feels. But it just, yeah.
And that's how Buffy worked, right? Like,
yeah.
I would imagine that it would at least have the Buffy audience, right? Like at the very least. And I don't even think that Hulu's giving has opened up that pipeline, right? Like I've seen some posters around LA, right? Like I've seen billboards and stuff for it, but for something that's on Hulu that doesn't have a presence on network TV or cable TV, you need to market it like on TV or on, before movies or something. And I just don't feel like we got that for this show. And maybe they don't, maybe they didn't have faith in it, or maybe like Hulu just hasn't figured out, because like Hulu also has shows like Handmaid's Tale. Like you didn't hear about that show until they started getting nominated for awards. Like there was some word of mouth going on with that, but that was mostly around like the politics of the time and not really about like the show itself. So like I feel like Hulu maybe just hasn't figured marketing its content out to like people who aren't already Hulu people, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like what is Hulu marketed well?
Yeah, Hulu's. We were talking about it earlier. Hulu's like it's definitely a kind of a distant number 3 behind Amazon, and some people might disagree with me, but yeah, Hulu's kind of junky compared to Amazon. I mean, it's good. But it's I don't know. Its format's a little funky compared to Amazon and Netflix.
I think because it doesn't
people love it, but
because it doesn't offer movies, I think people think of it as like rerun, like TV reruns. Like if I don't have a cable subscription, I can watch.
I'm okay with it not running movies. I hate digging through. I mean, like I don't know, kind of over movies. That's why we talk about TV here.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand how there's entire. I mean, they get. All my respect. They get tons of subscribers. But comic book cast too. That guy's Armin's great, but he talks about Avengers 18 times a day. It's like, I mean, like how many times can you talk about a 2 or 3 hour movie over a 2-year period? Like whatever ideas he came up with are better than the ones that are going to come out in the movie, because he's come up with so many. It's like,
pick a good one out of a hat.
Talk about that for that long,
Yeah.
Or Star Wars even. There's oh my God, there's hundreds of YouTube channels dedicated to like 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
And they talk about it all the time, and it's like it's not that in depth.
So what did you think of looking into the future of LA and seeing the skyscrapers falling? What was that all about?
That was another scene that was dealt with really badly. It's like, oh yeah, this little project I was working on, it was a time machine. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
what?
cool,
what? and it was really a cool time machine. Actually, if for those of you who you probably don't, but listen to Art Bell, there's an urban myth out there that the Vatican has a machine like that. Okay, that some member of the Vatican back in the 50s invented some kind of a device where you could look back in time and it's like a TV screen. It's not like actually traveling in time. So I know that's where that guy got that idea. It's been around for a while, but it's like a lot of woo-woo stuff. And like I said, Art Bell. I love the machine. I love the concept of the machine, folding back time. You can't go there, but you can see it. Yep. But it was just such a matter of fact, like, hey, that project I couldn't figure out was a time machine. It was on TV. And then
that would make me think that this is in the Marvel universe.
But I knew that was going to happen. I mean, you didn't expect, like, it would have been cool to see all the kids like in costumes or something like flying around. But I was like, no, they're going to show LA being destroyed, and they did. I'm like,
or like giant robots like beating down buildings.
That would have been
like
cool.
Godzilla
them flying around, just like little, like you didn't have to see who it was, just a bunch of beings. We could have guessed it was Iron Man or something like that. That would have been rad.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been rad.
The other thing, sorry, I know I'm jumping around, but you know, we're short on time.
Yeah, we got it.
What did you think of two gauntlets? Didn't Chase only have one in the comics? I might be just thinking of him always just raising up one and he had another one on the other hand or something, but like, did he always have two?
I'm gonna say I'm looking over at a comic right now. I'll find out. Hang on, I can't remember. I don't know. I do not know the answer to that one. I never paid attention. I always thought he had two, but I could be wrong.
For some reason, I was like, "Oh, this is a little different." I thought, but yeah, let me. I'll look it up on images. Chase is surprisingly like really, as somebody who was probably beat up by many chases in junior high and before. Chase was like is really fast becoming my favorite. In the show, like the actor playing him is really cool. Oh yeah, he had two gauntlets.
Yeah, two gauntlets. Okay,
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I really think he's fantastic. Are you still on the Chase train? Chase?
I don't know if I'm on anybody's train yet, but I like the kids. I think the kids are doing a good job. You always, you know, even though they're probably all in their mid-20s, but I think they're doing a good job, and that's the point where it can always be cheesy, and that's why they put more parents in. For one, when you do have a young child, that's why we talked about it last time, why they didn't use a young child for Molly. There's just too many rules. It restricts your shooting. But I did dig out my Runaways original art. Yeah, I don't know if anybody.
Oh wow! Oh yeah, you had a page.
So I own the page that's got the Twister scene, and there's actually they corrected this because they had to move her arm down, so there's another piece. But I like it with just the pencils and stuff. Yeah, because we know Mike Newbold did the inkers, is a buddy of mine.
That's badass.
It's not inking anymore because there's no money in it. So yeah, that's a little Runaways. That's issue 2, page 4. So yeah, we should probably wrap this one up because we got another podcast to do.
And, yeah, stay tuned for the Gifted right after this one, guys.
I will perform better on shame. I will perform better on that one. Yeah, I was totally, you know what? I'm not even that tired. I was ready to go today. I just brain
for some reason I've got a lot done to I've been really busy today with stuff. So
this is also our first time like doing shows back to back. Like we're doing this twice this week. We've got Dennis and I have Mr. Robot and Happy, and doing it with Mr. Robot. Because I have to watch that show twice because that show's complicated. And yeah, I was going to say, not saying these shows aren't, but they aren't compared to Mr. Robot. And then we have Happy premiering, which is rad. Dennis and I will probably be the only ones who care about it, but it's based on a graphic novel by Grant Morrison, Derek Robertson. But yeah, we should wrap this one up, man.
Sounds good. Is there anything else though before we go?
If you want to continue watching us, and if you watch The Gifted, we will be right back on in about 11 minutes.
Yeah, with The Gifted. Yeah. And check out the show notes. We've got all of our links there. We're the Nerdrotic channel on YouTube. Please subscribe. You can also find our audio-only podcast on the podcast app and SoundCloud, nerdrotic.com. You can find all of our content. We've got a Facebook page, facebook.com/nerdrotic podcast. So check us out wherever we are. We've got a little unique things in each place. So it helps to be all over, but the most of the content will be on our YouTube channel and definitely on our website itself, www.nerdrotic.com. So I'm excited to see again where this goes. This was the first episode for me that really took us in down a different path. Like they didn't do anything that makes me think that it's necessarily off the track, off the comic book track, but they left a lot of doors open for that. And there's a lot of relationships they were developing that were never developed in this way. So I think it's very, very interesting what they're doing on this show. And I just again, this is my favorite show right now. This is the show I want to watch week to week. And I just think it's fantastic.
I think it's a good show. I think it may be suffering from too many superhero shows on TV, and it's competing with actual superhero shows. And it's still Marvel. Although this is not how this book was written. This is an indie book. Okay. It's an indie YA book that was written very, very well, but by the way, and although it's not a costume superhero book, but when you have Flash, Arrow, Black Lightning coming and all that stuff, and then The Gifted, and they're not wearing costumes. And Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was actually pretty good. I hate to admit it, but I watched because I was so done with that show. But I watched that 2-hour premiere and it was pretty good. But all
it's
the Marvel
good,
stuff
huh?
dances around the edges of superheroes. It doesn't like really go full superhero like the CW does.
Yeah.
But the Marvel stuff is written a little better in some aspects, in my opinion. And this show is very good. I like it a lot. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Sure. Tune in next week, guys. We'll be back late on Monday night around 10:30, right after we get the episode on the West Coast.
Yeah. How many gifted do we got? It was episode 9. So yeah, we got like 4 more weeks of this.
I know.
It's all right.
It's brutal.
I changed my work schedule.
Yeah. You're like, sorry, the gifted.
I got to come in later because I'm podcasting.
Yeah.
We're cool with it. So yeah, if you want to stay with us, we'll be back in a few minutes. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I will be on my game next week. I promise.
Me too. Me too.
May the small folks sing songs of your greatness.
Awesome. 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 Bye, everybody. See you soon or next week, whichever.
See you.